Hi everyone, welcome back to Earl Grey Books. I'm Ellie. I'm here today to talk about some of the things that I read in January. I don't usually really do wrap-ups. I don't remember the last one I did. I think it was in 2020. Because one, I have a terrible memory and by the end of the month I can't even remember what I've read or what I thought about the books. But also because when I do my vlogs, I talk about how I felt about the book. I don't really see a point in sharing them, talking about them in the vlog in detail, and then doing a whole other video as well. But I took a break in Jan, so there was no vlog, and a lot of the things I read I can't talk to you about yet because they are for other projects, most of which you will see later this month. And yeah, so I don't have a whole lot to talk about, and I thought this would be a good way to share some of the things that I did read. So that being said, I read 15 books in Jan and also DNF'd one. And how many can I actually tell you about? That's a good thing that I should have checked. 8. I can tell you about 8 of them, which is not bad, not bad. That's half of them. So we're gonna jump in. And yeah, we're just gonna jump in. I did do a lot of reading on my Kindle this month, just for myself, but also for those projects. So a lot of them, and I use the library quite a bit, so lots of images. Editing Ellie is gonna hate herself for that, but here we go. The first book I read this year was Dead of Spring by Colette Rhodes. This is a Hades and Persephone story. It's a standalone, and it basically follows, it's relatively true to the myth, but with a little bit more of a romance element and some smart, basically. I read this because Colette Rhodes is going to be at Rare in April, which is a romance event that I will be attending, and I was really excited for this one, so I wanted to give it a go, and I absolutely loved it. It was fantastic, and I gave it 4.5 stars, so it's my favorite book of the year so far, and I just had a really good time reading it, and it was definitely what I wanted. I won't say that it's particularly unique or anything like that, but I just really enjoyed the story, the vibes, the writing, and I have purchased myself a copy to pick up at Rare, and I'm very excited to meet Colette Rhodes. I also picked up a couple of others from her to pick up then. In the same vein, my second book of the year was Overlord, which is book 1 in the Galactic Kings series by Anna Hackett, who is also going to be at Rare. I read this one on KU as well, probably should have mentioned that. This is a alien romance. The only other alien romance I've ever read is Ice Planet Barbarians, so it's very hard to not kind of see similarities and compare the two. I mean, no tea, no shade to Ruby Dixon. This has more of a plot and feels a little bit more sci-fi-ish. I don't know. I have only read the first couple of IPB. So, well, anyway, we're not talking about that series, we're talking about this one. This is definitely, the alien is definitely more on the humanoid side. No blue, nothing like that. Basically just like a big buff man. We love to see it, right? I really enjoyed this one as well. I gave this one 4 stars. It was fun. It is part of a larger series. I believe there is a series before this one I wasn't aware of. I just picked this one up because it was the first book in a series and it seemed like a good place to start. I have ordered this series from Anna Hackett as well, and I will probably go back and read some of the others. I believe they're all available on KU as well. once I've finished this series. So looking forward to that. Then at this point in the month, I did a lot of reading for things that I can't tell you about yet. So I think it was about halfway through the month when I picked up Playing with Hellfire by Mila Young and Harper A. Brooks. Picked this one up at Books Insight, which was a romance event last October, and I had this signed by Mila Young at the time. Now, Mila Young is a Melbourne-based author, so she's also at Rare, and she will also be at Babe, which is another romance event, which is in June, but Harper A. Brooks will also be at that one. So I wanted to read this one. I wanted something like short and fun, and I wanted to give it a go and see which books I would want to order from Mila. So I did get a couple in this series, and then I have ordered a couple from Harper for Babe so that I can pick them up and I can have all 6 of them signed by both of them. So I'm really looking forward to that. Really enjoyed this. I gave it 3.5, but it's just a fun story. So it is a reverse harem. The main character is basically like sold to these demons by her foster father. I'd really like to know what indie authors, like indie romance authors, have with like the foster care system, because I swear like every second book is about a foster kid. But yeah, it was fun. It was muddy goodness and I enjoyed it. So looking forward to the rest of the series. Next one I read was from the library. This was Death Wears a Mask by Ashley Weaver. This is the second book in the Amory Amos, awful name for a character. It's either the Amory Amos Mysteries or something like that. It's a somewhat cozy historical mystery set in the 30s in Britain. I read the first one in December and I actually really enjoyed it. I had a really good time reading it, so I borrowed this one from the library and then read it this month, and I also really had a good time with this. I don't know, it was just a nice book to read, to just kind of once I can talk about those other ones, I feel like some of these will make sense, where I just needed something that was like fun and a bit light, and that is why I picked many of the ones that I read this month outside of those projects. And yeah, I did really enjoy this. I'm going to talk about this one more in a video next week, so I won't say too much here. But I have already put book 3 on hold. I think I'm like, it says it's like 6 weeks away, but I'm so excited for it. And yeah, I think this is like an 8-book series, and I plan to read all of them because it's just a fun time. Next, we had Loathed to Love You by Ali Hazelwood. So I picked this one up this month. I really didn't know what to read, and I was like, let's just do this. So this is the 3 novellas in the Steminist novella collection. Under One Roof, Stuck With You, and Below Zero. Yeah, they're cute little novellas. I really liked the first one. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And then the other 2 I felt kind of disappointed with. Just, they were okay, but nothing really special. I felt like, yeah, the first one had a good amount of build up, and the other 2 was just like, oh, that's it. So that being said, still enjoyed it, still had a good time, still glad that I read it. Honestly, I feel like I could probably reread that first one multiple times, and I probably will. And then we're going to go straight into my first reread of the year, which is exciting. I didn't really reread too much last year, which means that I have quite a few things that have popped up that I need to reread for various things. I'll talk more about that at some point as well. But the first one was Rhapsodic by Lotta. This is book 1 in the Bargainer series. I am hosting a little read-along, group read, buddy read, I don't even know what I'd call it, of this series over the next couple of months, and decided to read this one. We're reading sort of one a month, but people are all reading it at different times, and I thought I would leave it sort of towards the end of the month so that most people had read it already, especially since this was a reread for me. I felt like it was good to sort of see other people's reactions and then come back to it myself. I still really enjoyed it. I said this in a message to the group that like I couldn't believe / understand that I read the end of this and didn't immediately pick up book 2, which again, I'm not going to do this time because I'm hoping to sort of read book 2 around the same time in, towards the end of Feb, depending on when everyone reads their copies and all that. But had a really good time. Really enjoying this little group. Got a lovely group of people in there. We have Amy from Booktube with Amy and Meredith from Reading with Merb. And we have Tracy and we have Lana and we have Lotta. And I'm sorry, I think it's Lotta's Book Nook. Apologies if that's wrong. And yeah, and my favorite though is Mel because this is so like out of Mel's comfort zone. It's so fun seeing her reactions. I'm really enjoying that. So yeah, that's that one. We'll move on to the last book that I read and then we'll quickly talk about the DNF. So the last one I finished was also a library one, and that was How Not to Drown in a Glass of Water. Is that it? Maybe. It's by Angie Cruz. It's her first one since Dominicana. I have read all of hers now. I really enjoy her. I don't know about this one. She has a very interesting way of writing, and her stories are often about nothing. And in the past, that's really worked for me. I love Dominicana. I love Soledad. Those are my 2 favorites of her 4. This one was good, but I just wasn't super in the mood for that type of story. So I enjoyed it, but I don't think I loved it as much. If I'd been in a different mood, maybe I would have felt differently. It is a lovely story, and it's a short little book as well, which is always nice. And yeah, I had a good time reading it. I don't know. I feel like maybe later in this year, I would really like to reread some of the other Angie Cruz's because it's been a little while, especially Dominicana. I think I read in 2020, and I think I'd like to give them another go and see how I feel about them now. And yeah, I don't know if I prefer Dominicana or Soledad, so it would be kind of interesting to read them closer together and see. But that is a topic for another time. So finally we have a DNF for the month, and that was The Witch King by H.E. Edgmond. This was our book club pick for the Last Read book club a couple of months ago, and then our January pick was The Fade Keeper, which is the sequel. It's a duology. I didn't make it through the first one, so yep. It's okay though, because Lana also didn't make it through it, so and I think Mel is literally the only person who did in the book club. And I think Eli. So this is a story about a witch who lives in sort of a fairy world, and witches are discriminated against by the fairies who think they're better. And The protagonist was engaged, betrothed to the fairy prince, and then he runs away, and it follows that when he's found again and must return to this fairy world. I was really intrigued by this at the start. The main character is also trans, and there was a really nice friendship between him and a human character, and I was really interested by that. But it is a very intense kind of writing style. It feels very in your face, and when we were talking about it, Mel was saying that it definitely takes some getting used to, and I just couldn't get used to it. I think I read about 170 pages of this, and it's about 430 pages. So I made a decent chunk, but it was just sitting here, and every time I'd pick it up, I would read like a little bit, but I would really have to force myself to do that. So I figured that I would just DNF it, and I read a sizable amount of it, so I don't feel bad about, I gave it my best shot. But for today, that's everything. Pretty happy with this for January, honestly. I need to read 15 books a month, so reading 16 or having 16 marked off feels like a really good start. Gives me a little bit of wiggle room in Feb and all that good stuff. Just wanted to quickly mention, at least for February and possibly for March, and possibly going further, I'm going to be dropping down to 2 videos a week on Mondays and Fridays, because I just feel exhausted all of the time right now, and I want to be making videos. I feel really good about that after my break, but I don't want to force myself to do it and stress myself out and then burn myself out again and just spiral like that. So we're going to drop down to 2. I've got some pretty exciting for me videos planned for this month and a couple in the future, so I'm looking forward to that, and I will catch you all on Monday. I'm going to be doing a haul for January because things happened. So I'll see you all then. I hope you're all doing super well. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.